World Leader Margaret Thatcher by Sandra Patricia Perez. I will talk about the life of Margaret Thatcher as a world leader and her contributions to humanity, transforming our future to make a better world. I really hope you enjoy my presentations. Let's begin. General descriptions. I'm going to divide this talk into relevant topics. Brief biographical sketch. First woman Prime Minister of Great Britain, one of the most influential women of the 20th century. Style of leadership that made her the Iron Lady. Thatcher, the lady who resurrected the British economy. Summary and conclusions and reference. Short biography. Now, let's see. Margaret Thatcher was born in Grantham, England on October 13, 1925. She was the daughter of Alfred Robert and Beatrice Ethel. He studied chemistry at the University of Oxford. In 1948, he joined the Conservative Party. In 1953, she graduated as an attorney specializing in tax law. In 1958, she was elected deputy to Finchley, and in 1961 was appointed Undersecretary in the Ministry of Pensions of the government of Harold Macmillan. Between 1970 and 1974, she was Minister of Education and Science. From 1975 to 1979, she was the leader of the opposition to the Labour government of James Callaghan. From 1979 to 1999, he was Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. During his government, he implemented neoliberal reforms, recovered the Malvinas Islands, allied with the United States, supported NATO, and contributed to the fall of real socialism in Eastern Europe. He resigned from the government in 1990, and science became on activities defending privatizations, the family, the death penalty, and the environment. For a decade, his health has been broken, and he died of a stroke on April 8, 2013. First woman Prime Minister of Great Britain, one of the most influential women of the 20th century. Leadership style that made her the Iron Lady. Act white conviction. I am not a consensus policy, police. I am a police of convictions, and one of his convictions was in a free economy. She believed in promoting low inflation, free market, financial discipline, control of public spending, and privatizations. Also, he had strong views against communism, which made him be named by a Russian newspaper as the Iron Lady, a nickname he received with great pride, and an example of always living true to his principles and beliefs. Learn to handle the controversy. His leadership style denoted that he took action even against popular opinion. An example of this were its policies to impose a cost reduction program in schools, which resulted in the elimination of the meal given to children. True, leader, true leaders make the right decisions, although this does not mean that they will have the support of popularity level of those they lead, generating controversies. Though not say act, his first period as prime minister received him with great challenges, such as the recessions. The present situation forced her to act immediately, taking difficult decisions such as drastically cutting public spending, privatization, privatizing industries such as oil, water, and electric. The results of this action come in the form of the recovery of Britain's economy. Her personal philosophy was to act instead of talk, which she explained eloquently with the phrase, "If you want something to be said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman." Convert your weaknesses into strengths. Before being elected as Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher was criticized for using a certain accent and dialect regarded as unpleasant from her home hometown in Britain. A newspaper critic said him saying that his voice was heard as cat's nails on a blackboard. But the Iron Lady was already working with specialists to train her voice. This led her to become a public figure recognized for her powerful speeches. Even at the end of his term as Prime Minister, he wrote many books and continued successfully as a professional speaker. Let's now see how she was given the title of Thatcher, the lady who resurrected the British economy. This entire process, which began in the 1950s, imploded in the 1970s When public deficits, the rise in fuel prices, and the lack of accumulated productivity were too heavy for British society. Inflation shot up and remained above 20% until the arrival of the Iron Ladies government. The unions responded with strikes, many of them in the external limit of the legality, that caused that during the preservative government of Edward Heard between um, 1970 and 1974, they were lost up to 9 million hours of work by labor conflicts. The strengthening of the union movement generated a spiral in which peasants were forced, legally in many cases, to raise wage as prices rose, which again pushes inflation upward in menacing vicious circle. And in this way, British productivity resented day by day. Where do these changes loudest? The liberal revolution of Thatcher. When Thatcher began her mandate in 1979, the United Kingdom was not only plunged into serious stagflation, falling GDP combined with high inflation, but was also characterized by economic interventionism, state paternalism, and union corporatism. After he After his departure, just a decade late in 1990, the British economy was one of the great champions of capitalism. So Thatcher not only revolutionized the British economy but also the country mentality. Its mandate supposed a frontal rupture with respect to the prevailing system in the United Kingdom after the Second World War. Since it firmly defended the free market, the monetary budgetary discipline, as well as the idea of a minimum state to configure an institutional framework in which individuals enjoyed freedom to pursue their own ends. But his ideology, under the influence of classical liberalism and authors like Friedrich Hayek and Milton Friedman, was not mere words but materialized in concrete policies. Less public spending, less taxes, privatizations, liberalizations were on the union's living place. All of its economic policies were aimed at facilitating the creation of wealth, guaranteeing private property, and granting greater freedom to individuals. Thatcher reinforced capitalism and the principles of the free market in Britain and obtained the following achievements: increased low inflation, job property unions, and strikers. However, beyond the concrete and partial statistics, the most remarkable aspect of his reformist agenda is that his liberal policies made the British economy one of the most prosperous and competitive in the world. To summarize it and conclude, there are many other lessons we could learn from this leader, whose positions as Prime Minister cost her double work, as she was the first woman to hold the post, and although Britain is a first world country, it is also very traditional, which it has more merit for a woman in a political world of men. In addition, he did it for longer than Anjan in modern history, and he had to face great political and social oppositions to challenge the status quo of an entire nation to take his country successfully into the dawn of the 21st century. Margaret Thatcher left a great legacy as a woman, as an economist. She is practically the precursor of neoliberalism, and as a leader who was very controversial. She imposed herself as a woman of actions, a lady of pure iron. Its basic idea, a minimum state at freedom for markets. We must work and use our talents to create their head. He was inspired by Hayek and Friedman in the face of the planet economy and Keynes. Could public spending, low taxes, and debt union. Merkel and Cameron are the of his legacy. Rajoy did not follow in his footsteps. Reference. Thank you. Bye.